Okay, this is just a little video talking about how to deal with subtraction signs versus negation or opposite signs. So if we look at these problems that we got over here, we have 11 minus 6, and we have 11 plus a minus 6, which is how you convert a subtraction into an addition problem. So we can say 11 subtract 6, or we can say 11 plus the opposite of 6. And let's look in the calculator and see how that plays out, because it turns out you can do both ways in your calculator. But you have to understand one thing, that this sign, this minus sign that's in the row of other operations here, that's referred to as the subtraction sign, and it plays this role right here. But it's not the same as this one right here. Whenever there is another operation, for example plus, already in the expression, then this one is taking the place of an opposite. And calculators have the ability to indicate the opposite of a number, and it's usually down here at the very bottom. So for example, like this calculator or this calculator has it right down here. It works just a little bit differently, but it's similar. And on a graphing calculator, same deal. This button means opposite, this means subtract. Okay, so once you understand that, it gets a little less confusing, but let's do it both ways and I'll show you what I mean. We can do 11. First turn it on. We can do 11 minus 6. Most people know how to do that, and we obviously get 5. But watch this. Bet you didn't know you could do this. You can do 11, and then you can add an opposite of 6, or 11 plus minus 6. And surprise, you get 5. So there you go. Looks kind of weird, right? Because there's two apparent operations next to each other, but that's not true. This is an operation. This is an indication of an opposite. So once you understand that, then a little bit of this subtraction of signed numbers gets a little bit easier. So how about this guy right here? How about this one right here, this next one I've got? Well, if I follow exactly what's there, I would do 11, and this minus is an operation, so I press the gray one, and this one is the change of sign of 6, so I press the other one, which is change or opposite, and no surprise, I get 17 there. But if I know a little bit about how this works, I know that a minus can always be exchanged. A minus can be exchanged for a plus and a change sign. Okay? So in place of this minus, I could write 11 plus change sign 6. Okay? And when you change a sign, when you ask for the opposite, so this is the opposite of 6. All right? So watch how this works. I take 6, I take its opposite, that's minus 6. Now I take the opposite of minus 6, that's plus 6. Okay? So the opposite of an opposite of just a plain number like 6 is back to where you started again. It's just plain old 6. So these go away, they cancel in effect because you've done the opposite of an opposite, and you're just left with 11 plus 6, which of course we know is 17. And that was borne out by the calculator right here. Okay? So let's just do some more just for grins. 11 plus 6. Obviously, we're going to use the white key, 17. If we start with negatives, how are we going to do that? Well, we don't want to push this key. Well, we have to begin with the fact that the leading number is already negative, which means it's the opposite. It doesn't mean subtraction, it means opposite here. All these mean opposite. So to start this, I have to start with the white key, meaning the opposite of 11, negative 11, then subtract 6. Subtract 6. And I get negative 17. Notice in the next one, what I did was I converted the negative 6, which was the gray key, into a plus sign with an opposite. So I can also do minus 11 plus the opposite of 6, which would give me the same answer, negative 17. In the next one, I have negative 11 subtract the opposite of 6. So once again, I can do that in my calculator. Subtract the opposite of 6, and notice what I get, minus 5. Of course, if I look at what I have underneath my calculator, I can see that if I want to rewrite this subtraction as plus the opposite, I get plus the opposite of 6, which we learned above, cancels each other out. You end up back at 6, so you just have minus 11 plus 6, this plus being that one, and that is minus 5. So that was borne out by the calculator here. And in the last one, we have minus 11 plus 6, which is obviously minus 5. Okay, just like the previous answer.